Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsoring partner, the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. I want you to take a quick second and imagine what our nation would look like if we boldly invested in our neighborhoods and cities and showed young people, particularly Black men and boys, real opportunities to build upon their God-given assets and live their best lives possible. That's the work that the Campaign for Black Male Achievement and my dear friend Sean Dove, CEO of CBMA, has been working on over the past decade. They've joined and supported thousands of leaders on the ground to elevate and accelerate this very vision and mission. Visit tbpod.com/partners today to learn more about CBMA and consider joining their membership and or donating to help them scale the impact of this growing field of Black male achievement.
You're listening to the trailblazers.fm podcast, where we'll explore the stories of today's successful Black professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Join us to access the knowledge, resources, and tools of these accomplished professionals and come away with the know-how, confidence, and motivation you'll need to blaze your trail. And now, here's your host, Stephen A. Hart.
What's up, Blazer Nation? Welcome to episode 154 of the trailblazers.fm podcast. I'm your host, Stephen A. Hart. Last week, we kicked off our second annual wealth building series with the amazing Chris Hogan. His new book is out, and I encourage everyone to go back and listen to last week's episode. There's so many gems that he shared in this episode. I'm just excited right now, and especially so because today we've got another amazing brother, another Ramsey personality on the show. Featured trailblazer for today is Mr. Anthony ONeal. Now, tell you about Anthony. At age of 19, he was deep in debt, homeless, little hope for where his life was headed. And after hitting rock bottom, he turned his life around and committed to helping students pursue their passions. Since 2015, he's been part of the Ramsey Solutions team and has helped thousands of students make good decisions with their career, their money, relationships, and education to make sure they're living a well-balanced life. I want you to listen up. I'm excited to bring Anthony on today's episode to speak to our students as well as our parents and our young adults, right? If we're going to get our community right and truly close this wealth gap that we've been talking about, we've got to begin to instill the attributes and the habits that Chris Hogan spoke about in last week's episode, right? We have to get those habits fixed at an early point in our kids. So before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to share a special big ups. I appreciate when I see diehards of our Blazer Nation out there sharing our platform, sharing the podcast with their community. And so I want to give a special big ups to Stacy over on Instagram, handle at lady_chase. I see you every Monday morning telling your peeps to check out Trailblazers in your IG stories. And I also noticed that you left us a recent 5-star rating and review over on Apple. I wanted to share what you wrote with our community. Stacy wrote, I stumbled upon the Trailblazers podcast while at work. I wanted something else to listen to start my work day several weeks ago. And since then, I've been hooked. It's definitely part of my Monday routine. Stephen provides insightful information and discussions with guests that have an impact on my life. My all-time fave is Chaz Scott. Keep up the great content, Stephen. Stacy, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being my friend on Instagram who is constantly helping us to get the word out about Trailblazers. And listen up, Blazer Nation. For everyone else, you sharing this podcast with your community is one of the best ways that we've been able to grow this platform and expand awareness about what we're trying to do, because I'm not a big box media brand and I don't have a big budget, right? So I'm counting on you guys to tell your friends, tell your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, and all your peoples, right? Today, especially, I want you to share this episode with our students, parents of high schoolers, college age folk, as well as young adults just coming out of college, those new money earning blazers, right? That we need to help plant the right seeds and habits and attributes about how to take care of that money bag. So let's go ahead and dive in and receive today's mission fuel from our featured guest, Mr. Anthony ONeal. Anthony, welcome and thanks for being our featured guest on today's episode.
Man, my brother, man, thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm thrilled to be here, man. I've been hearing good things about you, so I made the podcast, man. I'm feeling good. Man.
Most definitely. So, as you may be aware, September 2017, Prosperity Now and the Institute for Policy Studies did a research study that said between 83 and 2013, the wealth of the median Black household decreased 75%.
Yeah.
And if it continued on this path, we basically are trending to zero wealth by 2053.
Yeah.
And so that fueled, when I read that study, it fueled me beginning to reach out. We had John Rogers Jr. on, like so many amazing people, Patrice Washington last year.
Yeah.
For a discussion, a wealth series. And so I decided at that point, we're going to make it an annual series and speak to our community about ways we can begin to close that wealth gap and begin to build wealth. And I'm just pleased to have you here, hoping that, we can have a discussion that fuels some of our youth beginning to turn that tide for our community. But I don't want to, miss out on an opportunity for you to start the way all episodes do, which is from a place of gratitude. So I wanted to ask you, as you reflect on this year, what unexpected opportunities came about in the past year that you're most grateful for?
I would probably say some of the greatest opportunities this year in 2018 that I'm grateful for. That's a good question, man. Just so much. What's a good one? For me, man, being an African-American man, one of my desires was to represent my race, my culture across all platforms. And earlier this year, I had the opportunity to do that by going on to the Rachel Ray show and to represent our culture as a young African-American man that has come from homeless, from sleeping in the back of his car, to now traveling the world and inspiring all people and working with a guru and an amazing man like Dave Ramsey and go in there and just share my message, my story with, a millionaire, with a famous person and speaking to all people. So just extremely grateful for the opportunity for God to trust me with that platform. And since then, she asked me to come back on. So I went and shot a couple of weeks ago with my publicist and I, Susie, and we went out there and we did another show. So just a lot of doors are opening, man. Started working on a new book for next year to impact our college students and parents and millennials. So, man, I'm just a grateful guy. Every day I wake up, bro, I'm grateful.
Yes.
I do what I do. And I genuinely mean that, man. People are dying every day, but God is allowing me to wake up. So I'm just grateful the moment my feet touch the floor.
I love that, man. You just touched on something and your bio describes you as well as this 19-year-old that was deep in debt and short on hope, right?
Yeah.
Share with me quickly, what was life like prior to that led to that description?
To be 100, man, with you, I had amazing parents. But, one thing my parents and I talked about just over Thanksgiving, because I have 4 parents. So I have 2 biologicals and, of course, 2 step parents who love me dearly. But they all said it like, man, we couldn't teach you what we didn't know. And my parents didn't teach me about practical life skills. They didn't teach me about wealth. They didn't teach me about debt. They didn't teach me about credit cards, debit cards, checking accounts, budgeting. But I knew the word of God. So I grew up in church every single day. I knew how to pray. Heck, I knew how to fake falling out. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know life. And so when I got out on my own, I didn't know how to deal with the things that were hitting me: credit cards, loans, car loans, you name it. And that's what led me to making some poor decisions with my finances because I didn't have the knowledge. And so, the schools, they're not teaching that. So if I'm not getting it from the church, if I'm not getting it from the schools, if I'm not getting it from my parents, I was getting it on my own and the world was teaching me some bad stuff.
Brother, I have goosebumps right now. I have like chills right now because I'm a migrant. I moved here from Jamaica when I was 16.
Wow.
And just like you said just now, unfortunately, my parents didn't understand, didn't have solid money management principles, right?
Yeah.
So they weren't able to teach me what they didn't know, as you just said. And I went through college spending money I didn't have.
Yep.
And as you said, I remember being given in college an American Express card.
Come on, man.
Like $1,000 balance. Had no idea, how the terms worked out with an Amex card different than any other credit card. And not that I was being dumb, but I was taking care of life expenses.
That's it.
And buying food, right? And I had probably a $300 or $400 balance before that statement came, and I realized I had to pay this thing in full. And there was no minimum payment, right?
Right.
And it was tough figuring out, what to do in that rut. But what should, because now I'm blessed to have two amazing young crumb snatchers, right? My daughter is 8, my son is 4.
Okay.
What should we as parents of young kids be doing now that's going to help to prepare our kids for proper money management down the road in high school and college?
You know, my little sister Rachel Cruz says, man, more is caught than taught. And I totally agree with her. You know, I don't believe that we should be doing as much teaching. We need to be actually practicing what we're teaching in front of our kids. I'm a young man who's not married, so I don't have any kids. But the moment I do have kids, when I'm budgeting with my wife, my kids will be sitting right next to me and watching us budget. When I'm at the cash register and I'm paying cash, I will be teaching them what I'm actually doing so that they can catch it, so they can see it, so they can experience it. When I buy a car, whatever I'm doing, I don't care how old they are. I'm going to make sure that they see it. They may not understand it, but they see it, they will duplicate it, and then they'll start asking questions. Well, what am I doing? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. You're cash. You're not borrowing money, son. You know, a lot of people borrow money. We pay cash for what we have. And so that's what you've seen. That's what you're duplicating. And so when we can start doing that as parents, as far as sitting down with them, but again, before we even sit down with them, as parents, we have to take control of our finances. We have to start believing that, start having a budgeting meeting with our spouses, start getting on the right pages. Because, you know, one of the things that I strongly believe in, man, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And it starts with the man and the wife. And so that's just one thing that I believe that parents could do is practice what you're preaching. Do not go with the philosophy of do what I say, not what I do. And I think sometimes that's how my parents were. Like, boy, do this, even though I don't do it, do what I tell you to do. And I think that's just a bad way to teach your kids.
I hear you. And right here, before we talk about your book, I just want to make a plug because as you touch on that, my wife and I got married 10 years ago in 2008.
Okay.
3 weeks into marriage, Anthony, my business at the time collapsed in the summer of 2008. That financial crisis, and I lost several $1 million and went to saying, hey, you know, you got to pay the rent for the foreseeable future till I figure this out.
Yeah.
And it was a year of struggle trying to correct course.
Yeah.
But somewhere in the middle of 2009, she said, hey, let's do this course together. It's a course called Financial Peace University.
FPU.
Listen, everyone in Blazer Nation, I can truly attest to Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey turning the tide of my marriage. Right?
Wow.
Because we were able to pay off 6 figures of debt with this cheetah mindset, right? And correct course. And today we are aggressively saving and preparing for our college fund for our kids and our own retirement. And just not carrying, dumb debts. We have a mortgage and, but for the most part, we don't carry credit card debts and unnecessary expenses. So I'm a big believer in the Ramsey network and in the products and in the philosophy, and it's helped me. So, everything that Anthony and your entire team there at Ramsey, speaks about, I hold in high regard because it's helped me in a big way to correct course. And so you've got this new book called The Graduate Survival Guide, 5 Mistakes You Can't Afford to Make in College. And I know you did this collab with Rachel Cruz.
Yeah, I did.
Daughter of Dave.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Man.
Congrats.
God is good.
Book, right?
Yeah, man. It's a national bestseller. We've done thousands and thousands. I mean, we've done a lot of copies of the book, but it's a Wall Street Journal national bestseller, and it's been out for about 2 years now. And man, awesome. It's hit the list every year. Grateful about that. And it's just really all the mistakes that I made in college combined with the mistakes that Rachel didn't make. So, Rachel is the daughter of Dave. Right. So she never borrowed money. She never took out student loans. And so I thought it was fitting that I'll be honest and just share, hey, here are the top 5 mistakes out of the hundreds that I made, but here are the 5 that really hurt me financially.
Right.
And Dave's daughter didn't make those mistakes. Right. So she came in and said, all right, Anthony, here's the mistakes that you made. Anthony, this is what I learned. And Rachel, hey, why did you not make those mistakes? And how can you teach those people? So this book combined is perfect for everyone. If you are a minority and you have low income, to if you are a millionaire's son, daughter, it's like everyone can learn from this book. And it's just, I think that's why it's doing so well, because everyone can get something from it.
I love that. I know you're likely enjoying today's episode so far, but we're beginning 2019 with so many of us knowing that you want to blaze your trail this year. You know that you want to take that next step and rise above, but truth be told, you know, your personal brand and your digital footprint, it ain't really tight yet, right? And if we're going to be honest, probably needs a hug. It needs someone to love on it, right? But all jokes aside, maybe you're too busy. Maybe you have no idea where to begin. Whatever the reason is that's standing in the way, I want to encourage you and I want to let you know that I'm excited. I'm about to step in and help so many of you. Really soon, I'll be launching the next cycle of my signature personal branding course. It's called Brand You Academy. And it's a 6-week online course where I will guide you through the step-by-step process to define and get crystal clear on your personal mission and vision, who it is that your target audience, who you're speaking to. We're going to help you create your brand elements, your font pairings, and your color palette. We're going to help you develop an amazing website and an impressive digital footprint. So much more. I don't need to debate this any longer. It's 2019. Someone's Googling you right now. The results they find, if any, the story being told about you on Google, on digital, it's going to leave that person searching either more or less inclined to connect with you, do business with you, or hire you. Now, if you know you need to fix this, you have no idea where to get started, I'm going to encourage you to sign up right now to learn about the next opening for our Brand You Academy course. Visit tbpod.com/brandyou and sign up today. Again, the link is tbpod.com/brandyou. Now, let's get back to today's episode. So share maybe one or two of the mistakes that our kids need to avoid making.
You know, I think one of the top mistakes that a lot of people think I go straight to the loans, and that's the number one mistake in the book. But I think in this generation, the mistake that I really focus on is not having a plan. Mm-hmm. And when I say not having a plan, I'm talking about not having a plan for your life, not having a plan for your money. Because if you don't have a plan, if you can't see where you're going, then all the other mistakes really doesn't matter, because it's like you don't see where you're going. You're not telling yourself, what I'm going to do. I believe where there is no vision, that's where people perish. And that's where your money perish if you don't have a vision for your money. That's where your goals perish if you don't actually write down your vision. And so I want to make sure that the two are congruent, So like for an example, you're talking about, hey, your kids are young, but you're already preparing for their college. That you have a plan. And I think that even high school students, college students need to have a plan. For the Christmas vacation, taking a social media break, and I'm doing a 2-day silent retreat. So where no electronics, I cannot talk for 2 whole days. And where I'm going to at this retreat center, even to get the food, you got to write it down. You can't talk.
Wow.
But the thing is, I'm doing this because I want to have a solid plan going into 2019. I just want to decompress and just really think and put my plan for my money and put my plan for my life on paper without any distractions, without any noise, just me thinking. So that way, when I come out in 2019 and start, I just got to step back and start going towards my goals. So for an example, if one of your goals is you want to be debt-free graduating college, then we're going to talk about mistake number 1 that's in the book. Well, then don't take out student loans, because that's a huge mistake when the average student graduates with $37,000 in student loan debt, but then the average student is only going to make $38,000. I was on the show with Dave yesterday, and the young lady is graduating school with $42,000 in debt, and she's only making $34,000 a year. That's backwards. And so it's just really about having a plan. And once you have that plan, then we need to step back. Okay, how do we get to that plan? Don't take out student loans. Make good decisions. Choose your friendships and your relationships wisely. Get you a mentor that is doing better than you. So those are just some of the mistakes, man, that we talk about in the book. And it's just great, man. I love it.
Man, I'd have done anything to have a mentor that taught me off the shelf, because as you're talking, I'm thinking about coming back from Jamaica from a Christmas break. And my dad maybe gave me like $2,000 to cover like books for the semester and living expenses. And what did I do, Anthony?
Man,
got off the plane and put like $1,000 worth of subwoofers in the trunk.
I feel you though, bro. I did the same thing with my car. My first credit card, I put $500 worth of subwoofers in the back of my car, and the car couldn't even go in reverse, bro. I'm like, I sound good moving forward.
Listen, I had a $2,000 Toyota Tercel with $1,000 of sound in the hatch.
Bro, listen, I'm with you, man. But you know what though? Can we just be 100? That's just what our culture teaches us, man. sound good, look good at any cost. And that's why I love what Trailblazers is about. I love what we're about because I want to fight that. Gucci Man put out a video the other day saying that, if you make a lot of money, you got a happy wife. And I'm like, man, no, money is important, but having a lot of money does not mean you got a happy marriage. It's about having a solid foundation. And money is one of those foundations, but it's not the foundation. So, man, I'm with you, man. I like you, bro. We need to do this more often.
Most definitely. So one last thing I wanted to touch on with you is we come out of college, right? And you just touched on this, but you come out of college, you're in college, you're broke.
Yeah.
You don't have no money.
Yeah.
And you come out and you have a salary.
Yeah.
Right? Even if that salary is 35 or 40 grand, it's money you didn't have before. Right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about the plan, right? Like, what are some tips for those young college grads who are coming into money for the first time? How do they handle that money wisely?
Man, that's good. That's a great question. So as soon as you graduate college, what I'm always recommending to the college students that I'm mentoring right now, get on a budget. As soon as you know your income, you should already be on a budget, but you have to get on the budget. And I always recommend our Every Dollar application. You can download it on the App Store or any app store, go to everydollar.com. Because that's going to teach you how to literally spend all of your money, every dollar, every penny on paper. So you got to start with a budget first. Then after that, I suggest, hey, listen, go home for about a good year or two with a solid plan. Like, hey, I'm going to step back. I'm going to analyze where I'm at, see how much money I have coming in. I'm going to save, 3 months. I'm going to start seeing where I want to go as far as do I want to stay in my current state or do I want to transfer out? Like, what do I want to do? I don't want you to rush out into life and make some dumb decisions.
Go back home to mom and dad.
For a year, if your job is if you're not making over, I'll say $50,000, $60,000 a year, you're 22. The average person is going to be 21, 22, maybe 23 graduating college. I don't have a problem with you going back home for a year to really get
your foundation, right?
Foundation. Yeah. Now, I don't want you to go back home and be lazy because studies is showing that the average millennial, ages 33 to 35, is staying at home still. And it's because they're lazy. The first thing is you got to have a plan. Mom and dad, hey, I'm coming home, but this is why. I plan on moving out in a year, and this is what I'm going to do. Then from there, avoid debt, man. Avoid debt. Stay away from the credit card. Stay away from buying things and financing things that you cannot afford. I'm 34 years old. I make great money, but I only buy what I can pay cash for. I bought a house and it took me a year to furnish my house because I didn't want to finance my couch. I didn't want to finance my bed. I wanted to pay cash. And so be patient. So get on the budget, go back home with the plan to move out, to get on your own. And number 3, be patient. Do not worry about what the world says you need to be doing. Be patient and just stay in your lane.
I think that's the key right there. I've been in this house for 6 years and we furnish a room every year. There's furniture in every room in this house, but we've taken our time to make it what we envision it
there you go.
And the patience is key. I mean, it's rough getting on a budget if that wasn't ingrained from day one.
Yeah.
And you're that 8-year-old seeing your parents do it. It's so hard. It was so hard when we did FPU to get into that mindset, right? But it is so necessary.
Yeah.
And today, we're not on the struggle bus. We're not living paycheck to paycheck. And that's the reason for that is for the past 6 or 7 years, we haven't changed our lifestyle for the most part. As we've gotten promotions, as paychecks have gone up, we've maintained. Now, unfortunately, we have the daycare mortgage, which we're about to get off. But, our expenses haven't really changed. And that's been a blessing to not rush to go buy a Beamer from Honda Accord, right? Like, to just stay the course and save that money. So, Anthony, you're sharing some wisdom, my brother. Again, for everyone listening, Anthony's book, The Graduate Survival Guide, 5 Mistakes You Can't Afford to Make in College. Go grab that for your wisdom if you're a parent, for your kids in high school and college. Anthony, are there any other books that you'd recommend or Blazer Nation grab a hold of or put in their reading queue?
Yeah, man. I believe that starting earlier is good, man. I would suggest, I don't know if you're going to have my big bro on Chris Hogan, but he has a book coming out, Everyday Millionaire. That's another book that I would highly recommend that everyone reads. I don't care if you are in high school. I plan on buying 20 copies of those and giving those to freshmen and sophomores. He didn't write the book for that age, but I believe if they can sit here and know every single song out there, they can get ahead of the game and start thinking about finances ahead of the game and how you can be an everyday millionaire. So that's one book I would recommend. Then another book I also recommend for millennials specifically, that 18 to about 30, is my little sister's book, Rachel Cruz, Live Your Life, Not Theirs. And I think it's Love Your Life, Not Theirs. That book impacted me because we live in a social media day. And it's like when we see these people driving the Maseratis, we don't know if they rented that Maserati, if we don't know if they're living paycheck to paycheck. When we see them going to Hawaii and we got to sit here in the States and be bored and have a stay vacation at the house, but we don't know what's behind all of that. Yeah. And that book really just helps you, kind of reassess your life and be grateful for where you are. So definitely get the Graduate Survival Guide for any high school students and college students. But then Everyday Millionaire by my boy Chris Hogan, that will be coming out in January. And then also Love Your Life, Not Theirs by Rachel Cruz. Those are the 3 books that I would recommend off the top, specifically for that young millennial age.
Love it. Love it. Last question for you. What's one action that our Blazer Nation coming off this call should take this week that's going to help them to blaze their trail?
I've said it all day and I'm going to say it again. Put your vision on paper. Yes. If you want action right now, don't wait till this week. As a matter of fact, just go ahead and hit pause right now. And I want you to write down, what is your vision? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Do you want to be a good father? Do you want to be a good student? Do you want to be a good mother, a good wife? Like, what is that? Put your vision on paper. If you're still listening to me right now, that means you're not doing it. So hit pause and then come back and holler at us after you write down your vision.
Can't say that enough. I'm a big believer. My own formula is a A+ MVP in terms of building your own personal brand. You know your audience, know who you're serving, know your mission, your vision, and your purpose, right?
Yeah.
And can't agree with you more. Blazer Nation, join me in saying thank you to Anthony ONeal. Anthony, tell our community how we can stay in contact with you and follow you.
Man, AnthonyONeal.com is the website. Anthony ONeal at all social media outlets from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Where I'm pretty much at all the time is on Instagram, and then my website stays current. So we'd love to hear your thoughts from today's podcast, and we'd love for you to join the tribe.
Anthony, thank you, my brother.
Hey, thank you, bro, man. It's always a pleasure.
I'm Steve Nehart, and you've been listening to the trailblazers.fm podcast. If you're not yet doing so, consider following trailblazers.fm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and feel free to connect with me over on LinkedIn. Whenever you're posting stories or social media posts about trailblazers.fm, be sure to use the hashtag TBPod and hashtag Mission Fuel. We'll be able to see you, and I'll be able to show some love. And in case you're not aware, our show notes for all our episodes can be found on our website over at tbpod.com. Now, if today was your first time listening, I just want to say big ups and enough respect for checking us out. You've made this Jamaican guy really happy that you're here with us today. And I'd love your help with keeping this Black excellence flowing each and every week. So if you haven't yet subscribed, hop on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Search trailblazers.fm and subscribe, rate, and review us there. Be sure to browse through some of our past episodes. There are more than 150 published episodes now, and a little something is out there for everyone to help keep the knowledge flowing. We grow when you, as part of our Blazer Nation community, shares and invites your friends and family to listen to an episode you think might impact them most. We believe that someone listening to these inspiring stories are going to be moved to make significant changes that have generational impact for many others, both now and well into the future. Don't miss next week's episode. New episodes are released each and every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern. Blazer Nation, go out today and find a way to rise above, go way beyond, and keep blazing your trail.